Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am the host of Paden's Pulpit. This is Season 1, Episode 24. Today, August the 9th, is International Day of the World's Indigenous People. Again, today is International Day of the World's Indigenous People. And I guess the first place I should start is why. In 1982, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed August the 9th as International Day of the World's Indigenous People. And that's to commemorate the day of the first meeting of the United Nations Working Group on Indigenous Populations. So, because that was their first meeting, they declared that henceforth and forevermore, the date of August 9th each year would be celebrated as International Day of the World's Indigenous People. And you need to know what is the definition of indigenous and tribal people. That's referred to, the people are described, hesitation. People are described as indigenous when they maintain traditions or other aspects of an early culture that is associated with the first inhabitants of a given region. Native Americans, they were here before all. They're indigenous to America. Not all indigenous people share this characteristic, as many have adopted substantial elements of a colonizing culture, such as dress, region, or language. Certainly America, we no longer share a lot of the cultural aspects of the Native American people, though many Native Americans still live in America and they still practice. Indigenous and tribal people refer to between, just get this number, 370 to 5 million people, and they are found in more than 90 countries worldwide. So the term actually means indigeneity includes all people native to a land that has since been colonized by another ethnic group. Indigenous people may be settled in a given region with their lifestyles across a large territory, or resettled. Native Americans were resettled. They kept pushing them west from Boston, and or kept pushing them west as they were discovering America to be the land that it was. They said, okay, just move up a little, just move up a little. So they were resettled, treaties were signed, treaties were broken, and land was taken. But generally, indigenous people historically are associated with a specific territory on which they depend. Indigenous societies are found in every inhabited climate zone and continent except, of course, Antarctica. Too cold for anybody to live there. There are approximately 5,000 indigenous nations, again, with the number in those 5,000 indigenous nations throughout the world, 370 to 500 million people are part of those. Indigenous people and local communities are among the most active groups engaged in conserving and caring for each of our planet's wildlife and ecosystems. They take care of the land, not like the colonizers who came here, destroyed so much of what they came across, and to this day they're still destroying it. I said it. It's the truth, can't be sued. Colonizers, by their nature, destroy. What are There are 5 indigenous groups identified nowadays, and among the indigenous people are some that are in America, Lakota, uh, in the USA, the Mayas. We all know about the Mayans. The Mayas in Guatemala, or the Aymaras in Bolivia, the Inuit, and the Aleutians of the circumpolar region, the Sami of northern Europe. Most people know about this tribe, the Aborigines and Torres, Straightlanders of Australia, and the Maori of New Zealand. Those are our indigenous people that were part of the land. Again, colonizers came and took the land for the king and the queen, but many of that population still lives there. The theme for this year, 2022, the theme for International Day of the World's Indigenous People is the role of indigenous women in the preservation, and transmission of traditional knowledge. I'll say that again. The role of indigenous women in the preservation and transmission of traditional knowledge. Fact: indigenous women are the backbone of indigenous people. Women are the backbone of many people and play a crucial role in the preservation and transmission of traditional ancestral knowledge. Many of our people have no knowledge of their ancestors. They think that existence started with them. Oh, whole nother subject. I encourage you to observe this day. How can you observe it? You're not indigenous, right? Well, just get some knowledge. Look it up. Indigenous people. Look up International Day of the World's Indigenous People. Knowledge is power. You should know these things. That's why I do a podcast, because I like to know everything. I've traveled the world and I like to know everything. And when you travel the world, it's good to know about people. It's good to know about how this world and this country, this world has become the world that it is. So we encourage you to do all that you can to become more knowledgeable about indigenous people. There's another abused population, my people from Africa. Also fall in that category, though we're not considered indigenous in the sense of this population. We are indigenous to Africa. So we still hold the distinction as indigenous people, not in America certainly, but African people are still there, though the Chinese, the Japanese, the Americans, the British, and all of them are over there in that land of Africa, the continent of Africa, where they used to teach us, there's nothing there but monkeys and apes and Yeah. Well, we once were ignorant to the facts, but people like myself, we have knowledge now. We have power, and I spread it. If it's only one person looking, or if it's no person's looking, I spread that knowledge. They no longer have to hide it from us. We hide it from ourselves. Today is international. That means internationally celebrated. International Day of the World's Indigenous People. Certainly a day that should be celebrated for the atrocities that the colonizers put upon indigenous people all over the world. Facts are facts. To God be the glory.